Go ahead on the tag and share. Let's get everybody in for. Hey, go ahead on the tag and share. Let's get everybody in for our wonderful Wednesday broadcast. Cheryl Brian Summers, how are you? Hey, go ahead on the tag and share. Let's get everybody in for what I know is going to be absolutely amazing on this wonderful Wednesday. It's the Great James Community Show right here on Wednesday. And coming into the studio is you know who, none other than that's right, the conscious chick. She just made her way in with her. I don't know what that is now.
What? This is B12.
B12.
Okay, this is a B12 fizzy drink for all the folks. Hey, Marcus, good afternoon. See y'all online.
Yeah, man. So how are you feeling?
You know, I'm feeling all right. I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready for a conversation today.
All right, hello. Okay, you ready for a conversation?
I am.
All right. Well, let's get ready to get the conversation started. Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Marcus, we know that you have an organization. Why don't you post up and throw up about the organization that you have that serves the community? I know you have one. And listen, call in if you need to.
Well, want to say good afternoon and once again, welcome to what I want to declare one of the hottest talk shows on the network. That's right. It's hot from heaven. It's hot from hallelujah. It's just hot. Hot. It's real hot. It's the Great James Community Show, and you know what we do. We're talking issues, we're talking concerns, we're talking community. You name it, we're talking it. And joining me today, once again, is none other than the community chick, the community conscious chick herself, Christy Henry. How are you?
I'm perfectly okay.
Perfectly.
Yeah, perfectly okay. You know, it's hot.
It is.
It's hot out there.
It's hot in
the street. It's hot at the city hall. It's hot at county commission. It's hot everywhere. Everywhere it's hot.
It's hot.
It's hot.
It's just hot.
It's hot everywhere.
You know, I think the thing that is so important for those people listening, the number is 850-671-1450. That's 850-671-1450. And what we want to really do is give our listeners the opportunity today to call in. We want to hear from them. We decided that we wasn't going to bring no one on the show today. We were just going to talk and give them an opportunity to talk about some of the things that are coming up and some of the things that are important for our community. So 850-671-1450. Doris Strong, why don't you give us a call? Tell us a little bit about what you do in the community.
Absolutely.
850-671-1450. There's so many people doing things in the community.
Well, there's so many things that need to be done. And I think that part of the mandate for this show and for many of the other folks that are talking is that, you know, people tune into radio, TV for different reasons. They tune in to be entertained. They tune in to laugh. They tune in to listen and be inspired. You know, hopefully people tune in here to be informed. And I think that, you know, in this hour, we've got to be serious about making sure that people are informed because there are a lot of things that are happening. And sometimes, you know, well, not sometimes, most times, it happens and, you know, we're like, hey,
when did that happen?
It happened just like that, right? And it's like, what? How did that happen? Well, you know, there are ways that, you know, the thing that really gets me about community, and our community is a great one. I'll tell people hands down, Tallahassee has so many great gifts, so many great opportunities, but it's a political town.
It is, and I think that you and I both will agree that if we could get past, and I don't feel that we'd ever get past it, but if we could get past some of the political maneuver that takes place, we could really impact lives. I mean, and let's just pause for a moment and rewind on last week's show, just to bring our listeners up to date as to where we are. Because I saw you all over the news last night.
I know. And I got a lot of calls, and some of those calls were, okay, now what you were saying? Oh, we seen your news. Now what you were saying? So again, I think that it's really important for us to help people understand what's going on, right? And for us to know, right? And break it down into bite-sized pieces. So yeah, we were at the press conference. We had Commissioner Proctor on.
But before we get there, last week's show was a show that we were doing an exclusive with Commissioner Bill Proctor. I mean, well over 20 years of service, well over 20 years in leadership. And we were talking about an array of topics, bridging the gap between law enforcement and the community, safety, funding. And when we got on the subject of funding, the Children's Service Council became the extensive talk of our whole show. And from that, we felt like, with information that we had, we felt like we needed to move forward to share information. So we left Wednesday, and on Tuesday, Commissioner Proctor called a press conference. You was there, I was there, Pastor Rudy Ferguson was there, Brother Terry Barber. So many were there, and we got some great takeaways.
We did. I got some great takeaways. I think the first takeaway is that in a polarized community, additional polarization may not be helpful, but it is provocative, right?
Absolutely.
And I want to say that, right? Because even though you don't want to bring friction, sometimes friction is all necessary. People understand. You come nice, you come sweet, you come prepared, you come with notes, you come with data, but sometimes it's just not what folk who are seasoned on the streets understand, right? So me, I'm a diplomat. I can't even say diplomat. I'm a diplomat. I believe that everybody has the right to whatever their perspective is. But folks who have been entrenched, like Commissioner Proctor, who have a mode of operation, who understand how to be provocative for a purpose, they do their thing. And so yesterday we were standing in agreement when we were talking about the need to maintain not just the value of the CSC, but just the value of the conversation, right? And this is really where it boils down to. Whether we had a CSC or a referendum that, or a United Way or a CHSP or whatever, right? A human service fund that people can tap to do the work. The cry in our heart is knowing that there are so many organizations out there that are culturally competent, that are doing the touch work in communities.
Absolutely.
And if they had the ability to be raised, if they had the ability to be brought in under cohort or developed under cohort, so that they can administer resources that are raised by the taxpayers and appropriated for that purpose, then they could yield these returns on this investment, right? But I think it's like anything. If you don't have a basis of measurement, but you're doing things that are impactful, that's problematic too. And so it's just a myriad of issues that all can, but I think right now we have two conversations. And mine is, I want to be very, very, very clear. I wasn't there to provoke or to call anybody anything. I was not there to be, to rail at the council. I don't even know but a couple of them, right? So, I believe with all of my heart that people have good intentions in service, because nobody gets paid for this. Do you get paid for public service?
Lord knows I don't. And I'm way above overtime, way above time and a half. As a matter of fact, I probably got so many close in that I could take a leave of absence for 10 years and not show up, and everything will be okay.
You got your comp time.
I got comp time in. So I agree with you that the longer gets who are serving is paid. But I think what we are saying and what we're are standing on is that at the end of the day, the voice for recognizing the service providers in our community needs to be heard, because they will not, unless they have been informed, say anything.
That's
just
right.
keep doing the work.
That's right.
So somebody has to say something.
Somebody got to say something.
So I think our position was that, one, we wanted to make sure that those providers have a voice in this conversation when it came to rolling back the millage rate. And I think we were able to establish that. We also wanted to make sure that the programs that are within this 32304 area code and in our communities, that we bring visibility to groups that are out there doing the work.
That is a very important,
Yeah.
what the last statement you made is a very important statement to make. And I think that can't be said enough, because we've been a part of an initiative where people were bringing hot dogs, you bring the buns, you bring the soda, just to do the work of community, right? It wasn't, we got a grant to do this, or we got a sponsorship, or anything. No, it was this person gonna bring the ribs, this person gonna bring the coleslaw, this person gonna bring the macaroni. And that's the way that you convene community. And I think that now, and so much of the impact that we're going to see has to come through culturally competent connection, right? We can't just plant, well-meaning efforts in communities without cultural competence. And I don't know that that's what people are doing. In fact, I know several organizations that really make a point and an effort to make sure that the people who are in the Joe Lewis's, the people who are in the Holton Streets, the people who are in the Hollyfields, that they are culturally competent, that they know the folk, they're not, practicing saviorism. They're really trying to make sure that it's the community's face or someone relevant to the community doing the work. But at the end of the day, I think what we both understand, even in our conversations today, is that it is under-resourced.
Yeah, it is.
It's woefully under-resourced. And it's under-resourced for two reasons. First of all, the folk, like you said, that need the resource don't necessarily raise their hand or get vocal. And the second is that the resources tend to gravitate toward established organizations, and for good reason, because those are the ones that understand rubric, metric, and all of the things. So how do we bridge that divide so that we can have real innovation that is impactful? I think that's the centrifuge here. So for all the talk that happened on the TV last night, hopefully what people got out of the conversation is that there are a lot of organizations, a lot of people. I see Marcus Manning on the chat. I see Doris Strong on the chat. All of these folks do tremendous, impactful things to community. They have tremendous connections to others that are doing tremendous, impactful things in the community. But resourcing.
Yeah. And I think that's something that we're going to continually to work and continue to be a voice about until we can make sure that it's one thing to be able to do the work. It's another thing to be able to be prepared to get your work funded. So I think what we have to be able to continue to do is help those who are doing the work meet all the criteria that are needed so that they can be funded for the work that they'll do. And so there's Children's Service Council is going to be meeting on Thursday. Mm-hmm. I think we've lent our voice to the situation, to the circumstances, and let's just see what happens. Either there's going to be a decrease in the funding or it's going to remain the same. And at the end of the day, I want to say to those who are listening to the broadcast, I want to say to those who are silent on the sideline, these are times where your voice has to be. It's a must that your voice be heard. It's a must that you step into the game. there's too many of us who see what's happening within our communities, and we're talking among ourselves. It's now time for us to make a collective mass choir to sing loud with one lyric so that it can be heard. And if that's how we're going to bring about changes, then that's what we've got to do. Listen, so Thursday night,
Yes.
the Children's Church Council, they're going to be meeting
At
and
the Leon County Commission Chambers.
and what time is that going to be at night?
It's at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
I verified that time. It's on the website. I'll verify. But yeah, 6 o'clock, and I'm going.
You going?
I'm going.
Well,
I'm
I
going.
had planned on going, but after
Why?
after viewing the news and hearing what I heard, hey, I withdrew some thoughts, and I said to myself, well, we're fighting for services. We're fighting not to see a rollback happen. But even in looking at the stats that was presented on the news, if the rollback did happen, there's still going to be increase in funds. I didn't understand it, but that's what it looks like.
It would be great to be there to understand how that happened.
So Thursday night, we're gonna try to make sure that we do.
We need to go. We need to go. Yeah.
And listen, I tell you, I just finished leaving the first responders annual. It's amazing. Shouts out to Sheriff Walt McNeil and so many sponsors. Big shouts out to Lisa Brown of Loyalty Credit Union and her team. I mean, Lisa has been a supporter of so many organizations, so many funded programs, and big shout out. But it was an amazing time to be in the room, with so many law enforcement officers. I mean, so many sheriffs. I mean, it was just first responders, state attorneys, you name it, they were there. And I was sitting there and I had a moment of awe. It was just a moment of awe for me to understand that at one moment your life could be totally under the surveillance of law enforcement. And then at the next moment, your life is working hand in hand, serving the community with law enforcement. So it was a moment for me to just become so grateful and so thankful that when you experience change, you can experience the power of impact. That was a blessing for me. So it was a great time. It was a great moment. And big shouts out to the sheriff. You know, a lot of our honorary citizens,
absolutely.
deputies is there. Yeah, and so I was in that number.
In the number.
In my number.
Okay, all right.
My honorary.
So,
It was just an amazing moment to look at how the pendulum of life swings and how God orchestrates things. And I want to say to somebody right now that your life may be in a mess. Your life may be at wit's end. But if you can keep the faith, I don't know who I'm talking to, if you can just believe that the days ahead are much better than the days that you've gone through, I promise you, you're going to see it differently. I don't care what it looks like now. I promise you, the new insight to what your life is going to look like is happening now.
So to think about how the sheriff's department, Leon County Sheriff's Department has evolved. And, you know, they do a lot of these types of things. They do a lot of synergistic things that reach folk, that bring folk in. They have a red carpet kind of mindset where they convene community people, grassroots folks. They, you know, try to keep the door open. And I think that's great leadership. That's great example of leadership, right?
I think you're absolutely right. And I think the key to our community is understanding that law enforcement is not out to get you. How do we change that mindset?
Well, they get you if you're doing something you got no business.
Absolutely. And I mean, and if you're doing something that you ain't got no business, Absolutely.
See, okay, so I'm trying to resist being Madeira out here.
But I need you to be one.
You know, if you need to get got, then they need to get you, right?
Absolutely.
And the deal, I think it goes back to yesterday. The reporter asked, she said, well, you know, what do you think about the increase in law enforcement as it relates to the decrease with the children? So, and I said, you know, I think the problem is that we think it's a zero-sum game. We think that in order for something to win or to rise, that something else has to fall.
And it don't have
to. The whole purpose here is obviously if we had an ecosystem where families were healthy, communities were healthy and resourced, and there was a great stable culture of continuity where folks did what they were supposed to do, that would naturally decrease crime. That would naturally decrease the need for enforcement, whatever, right? You have community enforcement, but you ain't got that. Right?
Yeah, there's no community.
You don't have that. You don't have community enforcement. You don't have the mothers that used to put Shay in the headlock and get her straight. You get what I'm saying? That so it causes a need for something else to manifest more proliferately because you got this missing. And so I think when you're dealing with, you know, these approaches with children's service councils and trying to resource these agents in the community that are trying to reestablish that cohesiveness of community to start peeling back, right, the effects of the degradation of community, you still got to enforce the law.
Absolutely.
If they shoot somebody still got to get arrested. You know what I'm saying? Enforcement still has to happen.
Absolutely.
Right?
And you can't fight that.
No.
So you have to become conscious enough to know that conscious enough to know that this has to happen. But if we're going to prevent this from happening, then the community has to become so engaged that they be powerful enough to say, we are managing, we're maintaining, and we're keeping up the maintenance that's within the walls and the streets of our community. And that only happens when we can make sure that there are resources in the community to help what needs to happen. I was talking with a young man last evening over in the Joe Louis housing complex. Right. I was over there last night with that family. I was over there yesterday. And one of the things that was mentioned is that, hey, you take a look at this community, the activities that are available to these children are limited. So guess what? At 3 p.m, once school is out, there are huddles of kids everywhere. But what if resources were there? Opportunities. There's a young lady, I remember, she played the violin. I can't think of her name now. She was a violin player. Her daughter got real sick, but she moved to Miami. But she was engaged in violin. And she started taking young ladies, bringing them to learn that that art of being a violinist. I mean, there are so many creative things that could be done within our communities that our children, perhaps in those areas, will never have an opportunity to experience. I mean, here it is. I met with a young lady who told me that she had never been outside of the county. And she's well over 60 years. And she lives in Gadsden. She's never been. So what happens to our children when we keep them? I was talking with a young man who told me about the experience that they had taking the kids on this trip for the 100 Black Men to Atlanta, and how those boys were just amazed. Because some of them came from Joe Louis, some of them came from Orange Avenue, various places. So I think that it's incumbent upon us to keep raising our voices that, hey, you got to fund programs in our community. And if they don't have what they need, we got to help them get what they need to get the funding that they need.
And so let's follow in on that, because there are, you know, when you're in community, and we in community. So people pull you to the side, they talk to you.
Absolutely.
You know, like it's not, you know, sugar coated.
No, it's raw. The conversation is raw.
The conversation is like, we on the radio, we trying to, you know, be
Yeah.
conscious.
Yeah.
But when you're in the community, people pull you to the side and talk to you. And I don't know that people don't understand that this conversation we're having here is seasoned by folk pulling us to the side and talking to us.
Absolutely.
You know, people are called me all yesterday.
Yeah.
So I saw you on now what that was you was talking about. And when I told them about it, the first thing they said was, and this is the thing that we war against, and it's a warfare. Mm-hmm. They're gonna do what they want to do anyway.
And we gotta stop that.
But that is a prevailing phrase
that is heard.
That is heard and said and felt and exhibited. That's why we don't show up. That's why we don't raise our voice.
They're gonna do what
they're gonna do what they want to. Christy, I don't know why because they're gonna do what they want to do anyway. And I just want to say that right here on this radio.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. People do not trust. People don't trust government. People don't trust. It's a political Tallahassee. I've seen love like I've never seen love. But I ain't never seen people distrust their government like they distrust their government.
Well, I tell you what, let's do this. Let's open up the phone lines. For those of you who are listening to the broadcast, if you got a comment, if you got a concern, why don't you give us a call, 850-671-1450. We want to hear from you. We just talking.
We just talking. We're having real talk. And thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Yeah.
She said real talk.
But listen to this. The young lady tonight says, community outreach with police partnership, police community outreach program. What happened to that? What happened to PALS? So, I mean, we really don't have that. If we have it, where is it taking place at? The community partnership, the police outreach partnership. And I think if we're going to make police, law enforcement, and community come together, once again, it has to take people in those communities partnering that has the ear and has the heart and that has been doing the work in the community to create this kind of cohesiveness between the law enforcement and the community. So 850-671-1450, that's the number to call. Hey, listen, we want to hear your concerns. We want to hear your comments because we just talking. So I understand today that right, let's talk about safety. We talked about that last week. Leon County School Board has now just made it official that metal detectors are going to be at all of the high school games. So it's going to be a little longer process, but you can't go inside the game now unless you walk through metal detectors.
Y'all better not wear them sandals with gold on them because y'all gonna be holding up the line. Look, listen, I understand liability. Yeah. I understand liability. I understand liability. Again, I wish people would trust their community more because there is liability associated with these incidents. You know, somebody's got to be at fault. Yeah. And you get a good enough attorney and it'll be the Leon County School District. And so it goes back to trust. And I'm going to keep harping on trust because it's universal. It's from the rich to the non-rich. Yeah. The issue of trust is a centrifuge here, but I understand liability, and I hate it. I hate it.
Well, I mean, I give a clap of applause because my thought process was in the initial stage. Let's not go through phases of inserting safety measures. Let's just do it all at once. And it's embedded in the minds of our people, in the minds of people that, hey, this is what we're going to require. They got metal detectors at school. We're going to require now metal detectors at games. We're going to do it right away. And that's what's going to happen. So I applaud that because at the end of the day, it's at college games.
It is, but it's still sad.
And when we look at the violence that's taking place in our community, and when we look at the age range that the violence is occurring with, and when we look at how the games on Friday night are probably one of the most influential gathering places that our young people are going to, then we want to make sure that those who are attending do have a mindset of being safe. So you got to come to the games early. No backpack. I mean, just do what you got to do.
So what does that do for folks who practice open carry?
Well, what
That
yeah.
go down the line, huh?
But I mean,
can they come? Can they come in the stadium with open carry?
They cannot.
So if someone who has an open carry license, who has a gun license, or you know, whatever the legislation allows you to do right now with a gun, if they come through the line at the game, they can't come through the line.
They can't come through the line. I wouldn't let them through the line. Unless it's law enforcement. But here's the thing about it. Here's the thing about it. And I like what you're posing, because at the end of the day, guess what? Those individuals who probably have open carrying license will not be frequenting our games.
Is that a form of discrimination? I'm just trying.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just
throwing it out.
I'm just
trying to figure.
Hey,
Dr. had to drop his head.
Doctor, you want to weigh in on that? so
leave that right on alone.
Hey.
So you said the school board gonna put metal detectors and security measures, safety measures, to stem the proliferation of incidents of violence, potential gun violence at football games. What they gonna do about them children and the parents throwing hands though? That's what I want to hear.
Well, I mean,
I'm trying to figure out.
I think what we've got to do is, one, we got to. Taurus Jackson says guns is not a problem in our community. Now, Mr. Jackson,
illegal guns may be a problem in our community.
Mr. Jackson, would you take time to call 850-671-1450? Because I want to know what community is this.
And now I'm gonna have to defend Mr. Tyrus, but look, a gun ain't never shot nobody.
I understand.
People shoot people.
I understand. People shoot people.
But
guns are a problem because illegal guns are showing up in our community. The sale of guns are being done in our community. 14 and 15-year-olds with guns is a problem.
You got to call.
All right. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hey,
good afternoon.
We got to stop that. Only law enforcement. And when they come, they would come. Because they're showing up everywhere with guns. But we got to curtail that issue. Somebody decides my gun is in a happy place now. But it's huge. And with the kind of foolishness that we've been seeing, only law enforcement should have our kids.
Right. So let me ask you this, Mr. Pastor Steele. Let me ask you this. So how do you feel about metal detectors being at our high school football games?
I think they should be wherever they can help. Wherever they can help. Thank you. Whatever can help. Wherever can help. You know, what's the problem with metal detectors? It's not a problem.
I don't have a problem with the metal detectors. My question, Pastor Reverend Steele, is this: where is the line drawn where you have a person that is licensed to carry, who has the authorization to carry, not somebody just bought a gun and toting, and now they can't come? I guess they couldn't come on school property anyway with a gun.
Yeah, because I just got in the comments. They cannot have weapons on school campus.
Okay.
LCS. So they
do fly. They do fly with them. No, you can't have it on your person, but you can put it in your luggage.
Yeah, you put it in your luggage and get home with it.
No, right.
I got a case. I got a young man right now that is facing. We working on it now. He's facing a case, but he forgot that the gun was in his luggage. And they arrested him. They took him to jail. Yes. And right now we're fighting that battle because he honestly forgot.
Wow. He forgot though.
It happens when you're traveling, you're moving, you're going. Yeah. So
it's just only a person. Yeah.
So I think I'll go ahead. Right. So we gonna applaud the school. We're going to applaud the leadership for. I just felt like they should have did it from day one. That's what I've been saying. The very moment that has happened, I mean, beefing up law enforcement at games is great, but put metal detectors there right away, and people already know. Because here it is. I hate to use this analogy, but my mindset is saved now. But when I was not saved, and anytime I was going to and through out the airport and I saw metal detectors and I had anything, even if I had a lot of money wrapped around me, I was scared that it was going to go off. So just the appearance of that makes you think twice. Should I take a chance at going through, or should I divert and do something different? So the appearance has a way of stopping so many things. Thank you. Thank you so much, caller.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in.
850-671-1450. I got another comment that has just come through, and this comment says, unpopular opinion. What if Black people started educating their children on proper use of guns at a young age?
Look, I'm 100% there with you, because guess what? Every other culture does. Every other culture. We're the only ones around here that the children learn off of TV how to use, properly handle a gun. You have kids, and I'm not lauding use of gun violence, and I'm not saying other cultures don't have incidents of gun tragedy. But I am saying that it is a tool that is proliferate. It's in the media. Our kids are exposed to it, but they have no idea what it is. And then they find it in daddy's closet, and they're curious. Some cultures they turn to the yard when they 4, 2 through 3 years old. They show them what the clip. They show them what it is, and the kids are not. It's not a mystery to them, right? They don't get the adrenaline that comes from media managed, education. And so, yes, who that is? I'm with you. When you're right, you're right. I'm with you on that.
Okay, so here's where we're at now, and I think that is so important, because what we have now is, it seemed as though at one phase of the era that we were in, we found that it was gun violence, it was black on black. Now we're seeing a lot of accidental shootings that are happening just within the last 2 weeks. I believe you're talking about 1-year-old, you're talking about 14-year-old. Now you're talking about what just happened here the other day in Joe Louis, an 18-year-old. And all of these are, accidental shootings where in some cases guns were just in the improper places. That young children were able to get to them.
Right.
So I think that question is a great one. There needs to be education, but then there also needs to be the awareness taught about the danger and the impact of guns, especially in our community.
So my daddy was country. And
wow.
He took yes, he was. God bless his soul.
Somebody just said, are they really accidental though?
Now see, we ain't got time. We ain't got time to go. I hear you, cuz we ain't got time to go down there.
Accidental?
We don't know if they're accidental, but we know somebody's at fault, and that's that parent that may have haphazardly placed their gun. We still got to take responsibility of the accesses that we give to our young ones, especially when they're not educated. But the deal is that I think you're absolutely correct about the context of the education, right? So back in the day with a country daddy who used to live in Georgiana, Alabama, shout out to Georgiana and all of its adjacent towns. You went and used a gun to hunt. You went and used a gun in the country for many different utilitarian reasons, right?
And children would not even look at those guns.
They wouldn't bother with them at all because they saw what granddaddy used them for. They used them to get down on, it was useful to kill a bear. They saw it. And I think that our kids don't see that except if it's on another person. I'd like to find out, while we're talking about gun education, we need to be doing community-wide trauma therapy for a whole, because this is what the kids see.
Yeah, it is. And it's amazing you said that, because I was speaking with, and it's amazing you're saying this, because I was just speaking with someone the other day over in the Joe Louis area, and the trauma that has impacted those kids who were in the area when this young lady, 18 years old, was shot.
Have mercy.
Who has been addressing those children? Who has been taking time to address them? So trauma in our community is you're really being impacted by what we are seeing happening in our community. And the impact of it has a lasting effect if we don't embrace getting them what they need.
So what you're saying, and I want to hear from other people, and I think this is a group conversation. What somebody in the country being raised with a gun and its use is seen as an organic use of a tool in context. What we're seeing on these streets is inorganic. It's unnatural. It is barbaric to a great degree. And Joe Louis has so much blood on the streets over there in terms of incidents that have happened. Because remember, maybe a year and a half ago, the man that got shot over there on the arm got shot over there in broad daylight.
But where the young lady was killed at, whether the young lady was shot at, just last evening, I was just talking with some of the residents that was out there. They said we have seen 3 situations of shootings right in this
area.
So what we have to do, and I tell we live in a natural world, but there are spiritual encounters that we see are happening, and we have to really become. Oh my God! We have to really become so engaged that we have to have real warfare in the spirit realm about what we see happening in the earth realm. I mean, we cannot separate the two because there is a war on our children. There is a war. What we've seen in the Bible, what we read in the Quran, wherever you read it at, there's a war that's going on. And if we're not mindful, we cannot continue doing the same things and expecting different results. It's insanity. There are churches everywhere in that area. The power of the church remains inside because it's not making a difference on the outside.
Well, and shout out to the great folks at the Tallahassee Housing Authority. They are serving their purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. They are doing what they can to put security measures out there. They are doing what they can.
Big shout out because they had cameras throughout the whole place. So they were able to capture everything that took place.
Yes.
So hey, I mean,
you got to give credit where credit is due.
So,
but you're absolutely correct. Your community has to be a part of its own revival. They can't keep having Reverend James from the outside. They can't keep having Reverend this one from the outside. Come in. The revival call has to come from within the area, within the space, because the culture ain't gonna change.
It's gonna get worse.
And God bless the work and the investments that we're making to ensure that affordable housing is available. But there's a war on the construct even of the housing affordability format of concentrating a lot of the same type of persons, if you will, in a community like that. And that's the reason why. That's the case that people are making. So when folks look at the new developments that are happening and they're saying, oh, they're kicking us out of our property, they keep kicking us, they don't understand that mixed market housing is another element of safety because you have neighbors that's going to be looking out for the community. They're going to be watching out for community and maintaining the value of place. And so, and it's not a poor person or rich person conversation, it's an environmental conversation because a lot of the crime comes to communities, except in this very tragic instance that with that young person.
And I heard you say that on yesterday. And why do you say that a lot of the crime comes to the community? You don't feel like crime is already within our community?
I think it attracts it, but I think that there's agents that are from without that come in and they predate on the conditions from within. And when we see a lot of the uptick, for instance, I would like to see a ratio of the crimes that have been committed in different spaces and where the actual assailants came from. Were they from there? Did they hang out there? Were they from even Tallahassee? What's the situation? I would like to see something like that because I think that we'd be surprised at, but that still doesn't negate the vulnerability of these spaces.
So certainly, I'm going to be asking many of our listeners to, help in some areas of finances for this family of the young lady who
Yes.
who was pronounced dead at the hospital over in the Joe Louis. I've had a long, extensive conversation with the aunt, and certainly they're going to need community support,
That's
and
right.
that's important.
Yes.
On to something else that's going on in our community that I think is so important that we find ourselves getting ready for, and that is what are we going to do about getting people registered to vote? What are we going to do about electing people to serve? I mean, I'm just so at a place where the rhetoric of what I'm going to do when I'm elected, and then seeing what you do when you elected, it's time out for us now to stop just because I know someone, or just because I feel that they're the next person in line, or just because they look like me. It's time out for that. We've got to find people as we move through this cycle that really understand how to fight for the needs of our community.
Well, I think you got to, first of all, have the needs of our community articulated. And we talked about that. There's nothing written to hold anybody accountable to. There's news broadcasts, there's post reaction, there's lots of reaction. But as we said last week, where are the stated issues? Where are the stated methods to address the issues? Where are the commitments of investment? Where are the metrics of measurement of impact? Where are the proposed outcomes? Where's the plan? I can't. It goes back to trust. You have to write the vision and make it plain. And we have a lot of different visions, but I don't see anything correlated that makes it plain, right? And I'm going to be looking for it, right? Because we're all a part and have to be led even as we're leading. But we can't hold nobody accountable for something that don't exist. If the problems we know haven't been articulated and broken down on a sheet of paper, well, we could say we want A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. How are we gonna hold them accountable? How are they gonna know how to run?
But
because the other pieces of it is you write the vision and make it plain. So he that reads it can what? Run with it.
Well, I mean, I think that we have to, moving forward as a community, we have to first agree what our issues are.
Yes.
I think we got
yes.
we got so many little silos
Oh.
of people, and at the end of the day, everybody's fighting for a small piece of a big old pie. When none of us are getting anything but crumbs, and very happy with that. And I'm grateful that, a lot of the work I do, I don't do it because I get paid to do it. I don't do it because I want you to see my name in lights. I do it because I made a commitment. I made a covenant commitment when I was sitting in a cell with a life plus 40 year sentence, that God, if you get me from this space that I'm in, this is my commitment to you, to help, to serve. This is my commitment. And it did not come with a check. It came with a heart to. And I think many times we are missing real service because we are so after being noticed and being recognized. And it's hurting our people because the dollar is draining us.
Well, I think it goes back to those phone calls last night that I got, and one in particular from a community mother who said, "Christique, baby, they gonna do what they want to do anyway." And she just kept, baby.
And that must be have resonated with you.
Well, at some point, and I think about this with tears, because there are really good people working within our public spaces that really, really, but sometimes when you get there, it's different than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And you come there with the best intentions.
Mm-hmm.
and you're just kind of hamstrung by culture.
Mm-hmm.
And or you have to go along to get along just so you can make that little piece of impact where you can. And it'll wear you out.
It will.
It'll wear you out. And shouts out. And that's where a lot of these grassroots organizations come in, because they don't want to be wore out like that. I don't want to wore out. I want people to be like I was when I came into community and doing stuff. I was so excited, man. I wanted to help anybody. I mean, we were years wanting to do what we could for anybody. And you experience things and people don't handle you right, or they misunderstand you, or they are intimidated by you, and you get to thinking, I'm either gonna have to hot dog this and let the Lord send who He's sent, or I'm just gonna give up. And giving up ain't an option, right? And you know giving up ain't an option.
And how many times we say, I'm giving up, but it's not an option. Because the very moment you say, I'm stopping, giving up, is the very moment you get a call, and that call rivets your heart, and you say to yourself, okay, God, as you're testing me, what do I do now? And you go to work to ensure that that family gets the resources, and the hours you spend doing it is so rewarding when you can see it happen.
Yeah.
So
you have a situation where somebody in a bad spot, and they in a bad spot with their young son or daughter, and they need an advocate to come and stand with them, and somebody that can make a phone call and it ain't about in that hour. It's not about that person.
No.
It's about that baby. It's about that life. It's about, and that's the thing that drives you to tears, that, sometimes we miss what's the most important thing, right? And that's what keeps you not giving up, because you see that child that you went to court for. You see that family that you took that box to, and now they're doing better. Now they can contribute to what you did, and they remind you of what you did, and it reinfuses you to keep on going. And for anybody out there now that's listening, that's a grassroots organization that does things because they know the community needs it. They know that our children need good examples. They know that some of our families are starving. They know that some of our families are income strapped. They know that the expenses of life are at a deficit of what they bring in on their job. They know that they don't feel like they're adequate to go to the public places and request help, or they're afraid to get help because they don't want to be made to feel like they're less than a person. Y'all who are out there advocating for those people, for our people, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for collecting the hot dogs and the buns and putting them on the grill and having a movie night in a project that you didn't ask nobody to support or nobody to give you no money for. You just did it because it was right and you love your community. You did it because that's where you're from. That's where we get organic community from. And to the extent that we can aid and resource and ensure that they have what they need to be prolific in the love that they show.
Wow. And I just got a message from someone saying to all of those who are working, this person just said, don't get weary in doing well. Even though the community may have gotten weary, don't get weary. So here is the day on this show. It was really a day to just listen and talk. Nothing planned, because we didn't want to plan anything, but certainly we're grateful here for all of you who made comments. Here's another comment. A lot of times the people in these areas will not listen to people who don't live in their neighborhoods, even though they're coming in trying to help. And that's why we have been adamant. That's why we've been so adamant about, if we're going to make our neighborhoods better, we've got to empower people who are in our neighborhoods to help bridge the gap. Listen, we've been crying this. We've been crying this day in and day out. I've been screaming it until I'm losing my voice, because I keep hearing it's a liability. It's a liability to get formerly incarcerated men who were once part of the problem. Now they're trying to be part of the solution. You know what? We got to call it. All right, we got to call it. Oh, God. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. Hey, Marcus, how are you?
Speaking on how
Yes.
doing what he called on us to do, he's gonna provide. I definitely agree. Rich y'all what if he heard instead of just them just hit. Our program structure, right? It's very core value, so making sure they can't down at all. They're gonna be able to go out at all. All the program have a structure how it's supposed to. Some don't break.
Absolutely.
I got all the faith in the world. I know the other in the same room at the same time, something is going to break. That's what I think. My mentorship is coming to my area. I'm exposed to a lot of things. Naturally, how people get things done. Naturally, respect it naturally. I just sit down. I just my foot on the ground and keep provide service when I go to
Let me ask you this with the minute that we have left. We got a good 120 seconds left. Let me ask you this. You did federal time. You came back with a mindset that you wanted to make a difference. What has been the motivating factor for you to say, I want to come back to my community and I want to make a difference?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
those made choices. They know where our heart is.
Mm.
Who we are as a person. So it gave me our chance to see our family got our and so he got everything structured at the same time. So that gave me to do the same thing and not just be right there alongside that structure too.
Wow.
Instead of being one, I can be right there, one of the ones that's right there with you. Now, let your voice be heard for the community. That also gives me a tool to get on the ground and keep going.
All right. Amen. So listen, man, I want to thank you so much. What's the name of your organization, Marcus? Pouring Out Success. So here's a young man who has been inside of the system, who has now come out. He's an entrepreneur. He has a nonprofit, and he's in the community doing what needs to be done. He understands what it means to be the problem, but now he understands what it means to be the solution. Thank you so much, Marcus.
Thank
Hey,
you, Marcus.
Amen. Listen, it's we're really almost out of time, but this is what it's all about. I mean,
This is why I do it.
this is what it's all about. Listen, I gotta read this message. Pastor Walker, want to give a big shout out to Pastor Stanley Walker. He's listening in. He says, man, what really makes success in our community is the grassroots people working to be seen and to be heard. He says, so let's keep, he said, let's keep working and let's continue to make our communities better. I want to thank you, Pastor Stanley Walker. Big shout out to you for being a strong pillar in our community, and certainly on the south side of town, doing so much in that area with the Tabernacle Church and all of its beaches.
That's right. That's right. We have to strengthen one another and be okay if somebody don't need your strength.
Absolutely.
Okay. Right?
Hey, listen. Well, it's been an amazing show, and once again, we're excited. Thursday night, you're going to the Children's Service Council meeting at the Leon County Commission Chamber. All right, so we're gonna make plans to go there.
Yeah, we'll be there. Yeah, hey, y'all join us. If y'all want to come, let us know. We ain't going to start no mess. We're just going to learn and see what's going on so that we can be included and involved and engaged.
All right. Hey, well, listen, you all have an amazing day. I'm going to make my way to this afternoon. I'm going to make my way to the kickoff for Jessica Uri.
Yes, Jessica Uri.
She's speaking of her
election campaign. That's right. That's right. One time for public defender.
Yeah.
What's up?
I was in the courthouse the other day, and I was just watching, observing, and she called me later on. Is everything right? Just here, seeing, keeping my eyes on the cases and on the people that you are serving. So I'll be going to be a part of her election kickoff on tonight, and I think she's doing a great job. We gotta have her on the show.
Oh, really?
Sure. Hey, listen, it's been an amazing time, and I look forward to all of you continually joining us and continue staying with us. And I'm Greg James.
Prince Dick Henry. Keep talking to us, y'all. Keep talking to us.
Until next week, hey, y'all keep talking.
That's good.
All right, family. It's been an amazing time.
It's been great. Been great. Meaningful.
Meaningful. Real meaningful.
Listen to it, y'all. God bless.
God bless you.